Hi,
Hey,
guys.
it's Matt and Melissa, and we are back with Act 3, Scene 2, and Scene 1, a very heavy scene. Many things happened. Um, Romeo didn't know about the challenge on his life from Tybalt. He had just gotten married. Mercutio and Benvolio were talking in the street. Um, and Tybalt comes along and is looking for Romeo, and Mercutio goes, "I'll fight you." And Romeo shows up, and he shocks everyone by saying, I'm not fighting you, Tybalt. I love you more than you know," for reasons of they, he just got married to Tybalt's little cousin.
Now they're cousins-in-law.
And so Mercutio sticks up for Romeo, and he fights Tybalt, and Romeo gets in the way, and Mercutio gets killed, and Romeo's taking up. He can't believe he's like, "Take the villain back that thou gave me," and he doesn't. So he's like, "All right, let's go," and they fight, and Romeo kills Mercutio, and oh my gosh,
No, he kills Tybalt.
kills Tybalt, and then the prince comes along, and they're just torn on what to do, and the prince says, "You guys, you spilled my blood with your fights, and I'm going to find you heavy, and you guys are in trouble."
And Romeo is banished.
He's banished. In this scene, Juliet is, like Melissa said before, is just sitting back. I can't wait for Romeo. Tonight's going to be awesome. On the stars, I can't wait for the stars. The stars are going to be awesome. It's going to be amazing. And sometimes when we're reading Romeo and Juliet, to move it along or to just change it up a little bit, we just discuss longer pieces. So
Yeah, Juliet's monologue in the beginning, summary, she's excited. Um, she's excited that they're going to spend their wedding night together, like Matt just said. She has no idea what's going on. It's important to note in this, this is the beginning of the falling action of the play now, and gender roles are aligning themselves here. Juliet is now the submissive. I can't wait to see my husband, and I'm so excited, and he's my man, and so she is now becoming more feminine, and so she's, I guess, just aligning herself here to be more who she's supposed to be in terms of gender roles. So we're going to skip that big long monologue. And the nurse comes in with the ladder, the rope ladder that Romeo is sending with her so we can climb up to her balcony, her bedroom on their wedding night. She runs in. Juliet's so excited because the nurse is her confidant. She's the only one she can talk to about this. So,
are you Juliet or the nurse?
I'll be Juliet. You be
Okay.
the nurse.
I the chords.
We started in line 36. I'm sorry. I mean, what news? Why dost thou wring thy hands?
Oh, where a day! He's dead! He's dead! He's dead! We are undone, lady. We are undone. Alack the day! He's gone. He's killed. He's dead.
Can heaven be so envious?
Romeo can, though heaven cannot. Oh, Romeo, Romeo! Whoever would have thought it? Romeo. At
What?
this point,
Go ahead.
at this point, the nurse is doing her "let Juliet wait" kind of thing again, but she's saying, "Oh my gosh, Romeo, Romeo!" So Juliet can only think that Romeo's dead right now.
Right. What devil art thou that dost torment me thus? This torture should be roared in dismal hell. Hath Romeo slain himself? Say thou but I, and that bare vowel I shall poison more than the death darting eye of a cockatrice. I am not I, if there be such an I, or those eyes shut that makes the answer I. If he be slain, say I, or if not, no. Brief sounds determine my weal or woe.
I saw the wound, I saw it with mine eyes. God save the mark. Here on this his manly breast, a piteous corpse, a bloody piteous corpse. Pale, pale as ashes, all bedaubed in blood, all in gore blood. I sounded at the sight.
Oh, break my heart, poor bankrout, break it at once. To prison eyes, never look on liberty. Vile earth to earth resign, in motion here. And thou and Romeo press one heavy bier.
Oh, Tybalt, Tybalt, the best friend I had. Oh, courteous Tybalt, honest gentleman, that ever I should live to see thee dead.
What storm is this that blows so contrary? Is Romeo slaughtered, and is Tybalt dead? My dearest cousin and my dear lord, then dreadful trumpets sound the general doom, for who is living if these two are gone?
Tybalt is gone and Romeo banished. Romeo that killed him, he is banished.
Oh God, Did Romeo's hand shed Tybalt's blood?
It did. It did. Alas, the day it did.
Oh, serpent heart, hid with a flowering face, did ever dragon keep so fair a cave? Beautiful tyrant, fiend, angelical, dove-feathered raven, wolvish, ravening lamb, despised substance of divinest show, just opposite to what thou justly seemst, a damned saint, an honorable villain. O nature, what hast thou to do in hell when thou didst bower the spirit of a fiend in mortal paradise of such sweet flesh? Was ever book containing such vile matter so fairly bound? Oh, that deceit should dwell in such a gorgeous palace.
So continuing with Romeo or Shakespeare's motif of things aren't what they seem. Um, Friar Lawrence talked about it with the plants, and Romeo talked about love early on and how it was not what it seemed, and now Juliet is doing the same thing. He's a this how could this serpent, you know.
Well, she says that you are a serpent hid in a flowering face, and this is actually a reference to Macbeth. So, Lady Macbeth, when she's trying to convince Macbeth to murder the king, she says, "Be or look the innocent flower, but be the serpent underneath it." So this is all actually an allusion to Genesis and the Garden of Eden, like the idea that Adam and Eve are in this beautiful place, but there's this serpent lurking underneath all of this foliage and these plants, ready to strike and bring evil to the land. Um, and so Juliet's going on and she says, "You are a dove feathered raven. You are a meat eating carnivorous bird whose beak can snap the finger of a man off with one bite, but yet you're covered in the feathers of a dove." And actually, the last two lines of her, or the last, yes, two lines, three lines of her little response there, she says, "Was ever book containing such vile matter so fairly bound?" And that's a callback to when Lady Capulet says men are books and they're bound in covers and women are supposed to be the covers. She doesn't understand how someone so beautiful could be so poisonous, just like the friar says that something can look beautiful, but if you actually taste it, it can poison you.
There's no trust, no faith, no honesty in men, all perjured, all forsworn, all naught, all dissemblers. Ah, where's my man? Give me some aquavitae. These griefs, these woes, these sorrows make me old. Shame come to Romeo.
So in this moment, the previous scene, the previous little response from Juliet, she's very angry at Romeo. She feels like she's been deceived, and the nurse is agreeing with her. Kind of like, imagine if you're angry at your boyfriend for doing something, you go tell your best friend about it. She's like, "Yeah, he's such a jerk. I can't believe he would do that." And then all of a sudden you're like, "Wait a minute, don't talk about my
That's my
boyfriend like
boyfriend.
that. That's my boyfriend. I'll call him a jerk if I want to, but you can't call him a jerk." And that's exactly what Juliet does here. "Blistered be thy tongue for such a wish. He was not born to shame. Upon his brow shame is ashamed to sit. For 'tis a throne where honor may be crowned, sole monarch of the universal earth. Oh, what a beast I was to chide at him.
Will you speak well of him that killed your cousin?
Shall I speak ill of him that is my husband? Ah, poor my lord, what tongue shall smooth thy name when I, thy 3 hours wife, have mangled it? But wherefore, villain, didst thou kill my cousin? That villain cousin would have killed my husband. Back, foolish tears, back to your native spring. Your tributary drops belong to woe, which you mistaking offer up to joy. My husband lives that Tybalt would have slain, and Tybalt's dead that would have slain my husband. All this is comfort. Wherefore I weep I then. Some word there was, worser than Tybalt's death that murdered me. I would forget it fain, but oh, it presses to my memory like damned guilty seeds to sinners' minds. Tybalt is dead and Romeo banished. That banished, that one word banished, hath slain 10,000 Tybalts. Tybalt's death was woe enough that if it ended there, or if sour woe delights in fellowship and needy will be ranked with other griefs, why followed not when she said Tybalt's dead thy father or thy mother, nay, or both, which modern lamentation might have moved? But with the rearward following Tybalt's death, Romeo is banished. To speak that word is Father, mother, Tybalt, Romeo, Juliet, all slain, all dead. Romeo is banished. There is no end, no limit, measure, bound in that word's death. No words can that woe sound. Where is my father and mother, nurse?
Weeping and wailing over Tybalt's corpse. Will you go to them? I will bring you thither.
Wash they his wounds with tears? Mine shall be spent when theirs are dry for Romeo's banishment. Take up those cords. Poor ropes, you are beguiled, both you and I, for Romeo is exiled. He made you a highway for my bed, but I, a maid, die, maiden widowed. Come, cords, come, nurse, I'll to my wedding bed, and death, not Romeo, take my maidenhead.
Hie to your chamber. I'll find Romeo to comfort you. I wot well where he is. Hark ye, your Romeo will be here at night. I'll to him. He is hid at Lawrence's cell.
Oh, find him, give this ring to my true knight, and bid him come to take his last farewell. So, Juliet is experiencing extreme conflict here. Her husband of 3 hours has just murdered her cousin, as if things weren't complicated enough between these two. And the nurse comes back and is just trying to be there for Juliet. Like, she gets upset with Romeo when Juliet is talking badly about him. But in the end, she has her own realization, which shows you how savvy Juliet actually is. She's crying, she's upset, she feels guilty for having slandered, talked badly about her husband, but then she's like, wait a minute. So Romeo killed Tybalt, but Tybalt was going to kill him. So I'm actually okay with that. What she's more upset about, you want to talk about that?
Is that he's banished. How in the world is she going to live if she can't be with her husband? I mean, he's banished. So when you're a kid, you don't know what you don't know. Especially, you don't know what's outside your world. You think you do, but you don't. So Juliet only knows her house. I mean, she's 13. She only knows Verona. She probably barely knows Verona. So to imagine her love being outside of her world is too much for her. The thought of it has killed her mother, her father, Tybalt, Romeo, herself, everyone. It's worse than death.
Right. It's I mean, this is sad and morbid, but it's people whose loved ones have disappeared and they've never found the body, or they don't really know what happened to them. That's worse for them than having the closure of death. Like, I physically can't be with them. They are gone. They have departed this world. But Juliet is aching with the fact that she knows that Romeo is out there alive and they just can't be together. She doesn't have the ability to let herself go. And morally speaking, I mean, we're talking devout Catholicism here. She's married to him. The covenant that she made with Romeo on their wedding day wasn't just like, hey, we're married, we like each other. She believed it was a contract ordained and approved of by God, and she can't just pretend like they never got married. She can't just say, oh, well, we're going to annul this and then we'll just, I can just move on with my life. That was a bad mistake. She feels that she has spiritually been unified with Romeo in marriage, so she is dealing with, she can't marry anybody else. And so when she says, death will take my maidenhead and not Romeo, she's saying, I can't ever have sex with anyone else again. I can't marry anybody else. I'm going to die never having been fulfilled, never having fulfilled my role as a wife, which clears it up that she and Romeo probably didn't have sex before they got married. So Romeo was the sly dog and convinced him of that. So I feel really sympathetic for Juliet here. She's 13.
Sure.
I mean, what is she supposed to do? She's really, really trapped.
Or is it karma? She lied that she was going to church to get married.
Right.